Who's heard of the EDPMA? Who has not heard of the EDPMA? Okay, so some of this, this is real fast, probably 7-8 minutes. We're going to go through what the EDPMA is and what are its primary objectives right now. It's comprised of billing companies. It's the and physician staffing companies, coding companies, scribe companies, law firms, advertising companies. Any company that has to do with the practice of emergency medicine is invited to and joins the EDPMA. I think it's a great organization. We have been in it since it was about a 1 month old, so we're not a charter member, but we go back to, it goes back to the 90s. We cover about 50% of all emergency visits in some way, either through physician organizations or the billing companies that bill for them, or the third-party administrative companies that handles their med-mal or whatever. We're one of the largest trade organizations in the country. Oh, it's tricky. So we are about half physician companies, half billing, a quarter billing companies. The blue is billing companies, and everything else is a quarter of the organization. When you break out the physician companies, a little over a third are small groups. That is, physician companies that are under 100,000 visits. For 1 million and more visits, it's just a small percent of our constituency or our membership. Our main focus items are similar to ACEP, advocacy on reimbursement primarily, and that's almost exclusively what we do with regard to advocacy is reimbursement-related issues. We do education. We have 2 conferences a year, the Solutions Summit coming up in this hotel, May 1st through 4th. It'll be a lot of fun. We do news and networking. By news, we put out press releases and things like that, just like an organization would do. Some of the things that we have worked on in the past are listed in this sheet and have been successful, and the things that we are, God, this thing is like a hair trigger. Well, we're doing, these are the things that we're focused on from a reimbursement perspective today. We also have just hired a person whose sole job is state Legislative Relations Director. That's her title, State Legislative Relations Director, because that's a void in emergency medicine. Nobody really looks at the state level items. ACEP spends most of its time at the federal level. The individual ACEP chapters work in their own states at that level, but there's no sort of oversight on the whole world, and we have a lot of support from ACEP in doing this. Not money, but participation. We write comment letters to CMS, and the vast majority of our comment letters are written with ACEP, so we're both signatories on these letters. Every now and then we'll put a letter out on our own, or they will. We've gone to Washington and we've gone to the White House regularly, and we do that almost exclusively with ACEP because our agendas are frequently perfectly aligned. There's some things that ACEP can't do or can't get into that we can because we're a trade organization and they're a physician organization. So this is our education. The Solutions Summit is our biggest event. It'll be about 400 people with booths and educational content related to the practice of emergency medicine. And this year there's going to be a significant influx of hospitalist medicine as well. And they're trying to see if there's a place for those two entities to coexist. From a trade organization perspective, the overlap is tremendous. Just on the back end, if you look at what hospitalists do and what ER physicians do, the behind the scenes activity is almost identical, and so there's a lot of synergy there. They don't have a trade organization at all. We do a workshop every year, kind of like ACEP does reimbursement. This year's workshop is, I think it's titled Surviving an Audit, or How to Do an Audit. So when you get a RAC audit, this is a sequence of things to learn about how to get through that and how to be successful at it. And we put webinars out all the time. Covered that. Advertising slide. Another advertising slide. More advertising. More advertising. There's our website. Any questions at all about the EDPMA?